Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Dracy, and I kind of avoided these books. I bought them for like $2 each at my local comic shop, and this is the 1990s version of a book that came out in the 60s. I let these sit around for a long time because I liked that they were cheap and they were old, but sometimes Charlton books aren't the most exciting. And then I dug deep into this. I was halfway done with it, and I started over from the beginning because there was some time lapsing in between. I wanted to start over because these stories are kind of dense. There's a lot going on. It's not, what do you call it? Not decompressed storytelling, but compressed storytelling. The so the origin of Thunderbolt is created by a police officer who moonlighted as a comic book artist. He did issue 1 of Thunderbolt, and then he took over the numbering of Son of Vulcan with, I think it was like 56 through 60, and that was about it. And he quit because the demands of his day job as a policeman it wasn't working out after a while. But he did come back a little later in 74 doing Vengeance Squad, so we're going to add that link in the description, and that's a lot different in style. He used a lot of photo reference pretty much for every panel, and I guess he just wanted the realism of a cop book, because that's what it was essentially. This pose, it's funny, I don't have all the issues yet, and I sort of wanted to wait till I got them all, but I'm just eager to show it. He repurposes this pose a lot, on the covers even, which is kind of funny. But it's got a Lou Fine feel to it. The guy who did the Ray in the 40s and some other stuff. I think he did Firebrand and some others. But it definitely has like that line work in the pose. But you know, this guy could draw. It's just that he thought that was a winning pose, and it was. Now, this is issue 57. I'm going to jump to 58, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Peter Cannon Thunderbolt was created because Pete Morassi, or Pam, as he mentioned, as he's called as a pseudonym so he doesn't lose his day job, he wanted the rights to the original Daredevil, who is the guy with the boomerang right there, and he's got the spiked. That just looks so uncomfortable. But he wanted the rights to it, but he talked to Lev Gleason, and this character had been dormant for years, but Lev would only do it if he got a piece of the action, and Pete said no. And it's just as well, because the book failed, and I don't even notice there are not even that many for a trade paperback. So you have to excuse me. It's sinuses and a cold combined, so I'm going to try and get this episode done in one take. This is a reprint that came out very briefly. Modern Comics was just Charlton trying to reprint their stuff from the 60s, whether it was Blue Beetle or Captain Atom. And you can tell by the price, of course, because this originally came out in 1966. And as I said, he wanted to do the original Daredevil, so I don't know how you would think he would name the character Daredevil, because for years at that point, Marvel's Daredevil's been around. So there's been some changes. There's a split there, and the bare legs, which doesn't seem great for fighting. But anyway, I found myself really enjoying this. I was halfway through this, and then I just kind of lost interest. But I went back to it. I guess I was more open-minded to it. So Peter's boxing with his friend, sort of like, I don't know, I don't want to say a butler. He was like the assistant or something, a better phrase. Kind of like Frenchie was to Moon Knight. He was just sort of associate. But he knows that he's Peter Cannon's Thunderbolt. They're boxing, and he's like, something's on your mind. What is it this time? Because I was thinking of the recent tabloid exploits tabloid exploits of an American girl missing in the Himalayas where we were raised. Now to tell you something, he was raised in the Himalayas, and his origin is actually pretty much identical to Amazing Man, which came out in 1940, where he goes to some Tibetan temple and he gets powers of the mind where he can do superhuman feats using most of his mind that most people don't use. And that got used again for Iron Fist by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. And they even mentioned that it was Amazing Man that inspired them. And I think the Shadow had the same origin. I'm not sure. But, whatever. I think what turned me off at first is this lettering. It's a machine. It's a, I don't know what you'd call it. So, they're talking about this. But he just read an article. And he goes, it's pretty rough country out there. Because I'm reluctant. Give me a second. Her need for assistance deserves our consideration. He goes, who said anything about refusing, pal? I've already made the flight arrangements. So in 4 panels, he made the flight arrangements from something Taboo told him. And that's pretty outrageous. It's fun. This is sort of like a Silver Age kind of thing where you do the little cameo inside of an actual panel. So you end up, this is really good stuff. Really, really just great line work. This is all Pete Morisi. Really, really strong stuff. I don't need these things. Anyway, they had to go through a cavern, and the cavern had snow on one side, and it had prehistoric stuff on the other side. So it was totally taken from Kazar, Marvel's Kazar, where they had the hidden land in the Antarctica. So he switches into his, his swim trunks. And pterodactyl's trying to get at him. And then he manages a trick into getting into some mines. Here comes a lion. He punches the poor thing. But the other one backs off. He's like, I'm out of here. So, I like that. He's like, looks like he's like a rebel without a cause, like hanging out at like a burger joint. He just needs a cigarette in his hands, like, hey, daddy-o. So he manages to get in to this place to find the woman who's missing. And because a lot of these comics, that's the woman's role, missing. In more simplistic storytelling. Well, there's this guy, the Hood, who they found out was kidnapping this woman, and so that's a real great pose. That puts me in the mind of Wally Wood a little bit. He might have been looking at it for that back shot. So there we go. That pose. When you're talking, this is a guy who inked Greg Land for years, who retraced and redid figures a billion times. So it's kind of wacky to think. That turned out pretty cool too. So they get away. Her lipstick is not smudge. It's just a color hold mistake. Because Charlton had the cheapest printing of all. Solid sound, AM radio, man. Transistorized radio. So, get the backup. It's kind of goofy, but it's okay. It's written by S. O'Shaughnessy, which is another name for Denny O'Neil. Art by Sam Granger, who I've only known as an inker until now. It's edited by Dick Giordano. I don't know if Granger did any penciling beyond this. This might have been his very first stuff. So they're supposed to be like these Greenwich Village, Greenwich Village. See, I told you I was cold. This folk group. And Sergeant Steele is like accusing them of being communist spies. That guy, I know sometimes you want to draw like a big guy, like a lunkhead, But that's just, it's so funny because that's the only thing really cartoony about this. So he looks kind of freakish more than anything. So, because everything else is pretty straight. So it's not like he has the comedic elements in the drawings. I don't know how long this lasted. Probably not. Probably less than... Oh, Peter Cannon is now published by Dynamite, and it was published by DC for a while. So here we go. Get your Kiss pendant. Come on. Time's a wasting. Ah, there we go. But, you know, this is fun. I only went to this because the previous issue, the good thing is they're self-contained, and there's really not that many to buy. So I'm going to probably get them all. I just ordered one off of eBay. Okay. I don't want to put that. But this was an issue, Face the Dragon. It's a fill-in issue, so to speak, by somebody I really hated as a kid, but I love. And what's amazing is Charlton, they usually just printed stuff, and they didn't really give a lot of consideration to the creators. They did give them room to do whatever they want, but this is so funny. Memo to T-Bolt fans. Artist-writer Pam has gone into secluded research for the next issue of Thunderbolts from notes supplied by Taboo. Peter Cannon's confidant, Pat Boyette, has chronicled this further volume in the saga of this dramatic hero. Dick Giordano, you know, legend, editor. And what's kind of cool, I mean, I really hated this Pat Boyette stuff because it's so different. It just doesn't look like anything else. But here, what's really wild is I get a distinct, like, Kniff look in this. I don't know if this was, like, early in his career that he ended up getting a little more unique. So they see a guy's frozen, standing up. There's a defaced griffin. And even Pat Boyette kind of redoes a lot of faces. That's no big deal. I love this, you know, monochrome flashback. So there's just a lot of, like, Terry and the Pirates kind of folds in the clothes here. Look at all that going on back there. Most artists would bullshit their way. They would just do a couple people to front, and then, I mean, even the scribbles back here, they seem like they're working and they're moving. So he needs to find a flyer, and he gets this guy. Oh, those American dollars? All right, bucko, you bought yourself a flight. Now this is a wonderful panel. Look at the orange sky and the blue and the red. Me and my wife were at Panama City for a week, and that's how I got this cold somehow. And we saw it 9 times like that. It was just really, really cool on the beach. So, yeah, the spotting of the blacks is just tremendous. And I like the separation of the colors. Yeah. This guy's friggin' scary. Especially there. Wow. So he's passing himself off as a mystic leader, and he's sort of a bullshit artist who knows some tricks. But it's creepy as hell, that mask. However, Thunderbolt. I didn't know he had to say his name, but he hadn't in the previous or the other issue I showed you. Execute them. It's just the work of a fake. Snakes? No, illusions with fangs. It's spoken air. So these T-Bolt's features contort under the strain of a supreme application of will. Strange swirling vapors form, writhe, and congeal into a roaring, fire-belching manifestation of nether darkness. Check out that detail on this thing. Man. You know, back when I was at CrossGen, you know, we would look at old comics and we would just, you know, this is something I know a lot of my pals across your fellow artists would really appreciate. Someone, God, that's gorgeous. But it turns out it's not really a dragon. It's it's Peter Cannon putting the illusion on them. The end. So we got these crappy characters again. What are they called? I can't remember. There's a name for them. If this be Triumph, look, is that a Marvel splash or what? Just not as interesting. This was like a chore to get through. Winter's dumb, and there's like not even trying to be dumb in a good way. So then it ends with Sergeant Steele showing up to arrest them as communists, but that was in the later issue. So whoop. I'm going to have to stir the sauce. I'll do it after this episode. So DC bought all of the action hero line that Dick Giordano oversaw at Charlton, and they it was around 1985 or 86. They already integrated them by the time Crisis on Infinite Earths changed the whole DCU. Hold on a second. Can't breathe. I can't breathe. So, DC didn't have much success with Thunderbolt. I think it lasted 12 issues. I think it's because, it's kind of dated looking. However, Mike Collins, who wrote and drew this, with excellent inks by Jose Marzan Jr., they gave it the old college try. I like Mike Collins. I actually got the ink an issue of Legion of Superheroes that he drew. It was issue 93, I think. I always remember like the first few issues you've worked on. There's a ton of books I've worked on that I don't even remember I did. A lot of cool stuff going on. And Green Lantern helps him out. And Peter Cannon is like the new kid in town. That's how you treat it. But look at that splash. All done by hand. Crazy, huh? The way we used to make our money. You look at the Image guys who made insane amounts of money. A lot of times they had zero backgrounds each issue. And the rest of us scratching our heads. This is okay. There's a lot of like this TV stuff going on, which kind of takes me out of the story a little bit. Oh man, I loved this. This only lasted 10 issues, Justice Society of America, written by Len Straczynski and art by the late, great Mike Parobeck, who died really young, and it was inked by Mike Macklin, who I admire. Parobeck, he started off as a John Byrne clone. See how, like, the atom right there in the center, like a lot of their poses, it's very John Byrne. He was kind of like a John Byrne light, but he could also he did, what was it? He did Batman Adventures really well. So, I recommend getting them all. There was on Amazon, there was a proposed trade paperback collection of these 10 issues, and it got canceled twice. Like 2 years later, tried to get it twice. So, I don't know if the interest was not there. Maybe they're engaging. So, I love the Zipatone applied to her legs by Jose Marzan Jr. See, the cover's falling off here. It's okay. I ain't here for the cover anymore. It was a cool cover. So, this is really, it's really enjoyable in a way that it expands on what's considered a limited character. So, it always weirded me out that it's like they would have their, not weird me out, I always thought it was a waste of time to have the ad for the book you're reading in there. But back then, to change all those ads under deadline pressures, I guess just wasn't a thing that was that could be done. Because like this might show up in every month in that, their books. Now Dynamite Comics, they have done, excuse me, before we go further, DC tried again, I think in 2012, to revive Thunderbolt, and it didn't work. And then Dynamite started publishing some issues, and they did a mini series, and they're continuing it. I was looking somewhere, and I found it was like a 2025. Right now this year they reviving him again, and just like the Mighty Crusaders, it's frustrating, and I really feel. I mean, Dynamite doesn't sell a lot of books. They really don't. I mean, special occasions maybe, but I mean, when they do like Vampirella and they do like special gimmick covers, but it's like just like the Mighty Crusaders, who I covered before. They just don't. They're too derivative, and they were derivative when they were created. They were like, well, except for the Shield. The Shield came out months before Captain America came out, so the Shield was the first patriotic hero. And just like the Thunder Agents, DC tried them and somebody else. It's just they don't stick. And I know there's a deep love for these characters, but it's realistic. You're not going to see them on a regular basis, and that's a drag. But the whole thing where he goes to like a Tibetan type place and gets mental, powers, not mental, but mind over matter powers. It's been done, it's been done, and Pete Morisi did a really good job creating the character. It was fun, and it was never meant to be profound. It was just meant to be like every issue is a different. That's pills from our dog. She has to take them every day. Poor little girl. But she's a trooper. So anyway, that's all. I just wanted to tell you that Thunderbolt's kind of cool, and I may or may not get the rest of this Peter Cannon book. It's 12 issues, but there's even less issues of Thunderbolt, the original. Did I mention it was Modern Comics was reprinting the 1966 comics? But they kept the same number. That's all, and it didn't really work. So I wish you well, and I'll try not to sound so snotty next time. And I appreciate you checking this out. And let me know what your thoughts are on Thunderbolt, if you ever saw him before, or if you were around when he first showed up, whether it was in 66 during the Batman craze, or the reprints, which are 1978, or if you like the Dynamite stuff. There's a lot, like I said, he has a lot of potential, but again, just like the Mighty Crusaders, they're just derivative, and it's hard to do that when you have DC and Marvel having the same archetypes that are done better with a richer background. And they've been tried for, that's Pat Poyette's signature. Yeah, he did the cover as well. But, I totally dig it. And thank you so much for watching this. I really greatly appreciate it. Everybody who views it, I love it. I love sharing comics. I don't, that's my only agenda. But thank you for watching. And if you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Now, for those of you who already subscribed, please double check if the notifications bell is working, because there are a lot of channels larger than mine that have subscribers that don't get notified when something new comes along. It's just some YouTube crap. They probably want you to spend money to, it's almost like YouTube is protection money. It's like, if you buy this, you won't lose any viewers. But it's done by a bot. So that's all. Anyway, wishing you the very best, and I will talk to you all later, my friends.